Hey everyone, I'm Bill. I'm with Cali Moto TV. Welcome back to the channel. And yes, this is a 2020 Ducati Monster 1200S. And this is the brand new 2020 Ducati Streetfighter V4S. Now, some of you guys might have read the title and said, this really isn't a good comparison. But is it? A naked original bike to a hyper naked? I think this is a great opportunity for us to take a look at both of these bikes and give you a chance to understand why the nakeds are better than the hyper nakeds and why the hyper nakeds are better than the nakeds. So let's take a look around both these bikes and kind of point out some of the differences. Then we're going to get both of these on the same stretch of road behind us and kind of go compare side by side what we like and what we don't like about each of these bikes, and come back here and get a good comparison and tell you what my opinion between the two bikes are. So let's take a quick look around. So let's start with the 1200 Monster. Originated in 1993. This bike right here really has not changed much since 1993. It's a 1200 cc bike, or it's 1198, and it's just a monster. It's 140 plus horsepower, 90 plus pound-feet of torque, and when you think naked sport bike, this is the bike that you think of. Now, over here is the brand new Ducati Streetfighter, which the Streetfighter has been dormant for a few years, but it's back, and it is back. It's just absolutely a monster. It's taken the title of the monster over there because this thing has 190 plus horsepower with 90 plus pound-feet of torque, and it weighs just about the same, but it's a wild comparison. But sitting on both of them and really getting the ergonomics of both of them, the Streetfighter is deriving from the Panigale. It really is a hyper naked because it is just basically a stripped down sport bike, where this is a little bit more upright. You can see the bars are a little bit more upright, the pegs are a little bit more forward, but let's get these things on the road and let's see kind of what we think the difference between the two are going to be out here on the road, because it's close. So let's get on the Ducati first, and then we'll come back and we'll grab this Streetfighter and we'll see which one we like better. All right, guys, so we're gonna get on the Monster first. Shout out to my love. Thank you for bringing the Monster out here. She's been digging this thing. Yeah, she likes this thing. So let's get this thing fired up and let's get out. So we're gonna head out on the same stretch of road. So we're gonna come back and pick up the Streetfighter and take this same stretch of road to kind of give you guys a good comparison. Hopefully I can talk about the same things in the same spots, but so let's get on the ergonomics of this thing, because that's really one major thing that I've realized different from the Streetfighter to this. The ergonomics of this is you're definitely more upright on this. The bars are a little bit higher, and the rear sets are a little bit more forward on this bike. Now, as far as weight, they come in almost the same weight. So just over 400 and some change pounds dry, and horsepower. Obviously, there's some deficiency from this to that, but how much of the 30 plus horsepower more do we use out on these twisties comparatively? So ergonomic wise, I would say this is a little bit more comfortable, but it's really a preference. I come from the sport bikes, so I'm actually pretty comfortable on that Streetfighter, where this I'm a little bit off on this, only because I'm really comfortable on that Streetfighter. So hopefully that's understandable, and hopefully when we get on the Streetfighter you'll understand my logic between the two. As far as the throttle delivery and everything, we're going from a 1200 or 1198 cc twin to an 1100 and some change V4. So the delivery is much different. The RPMs are a bit different. but realistically, the delivery is really actually pretty good. Ducati's done a very good job with being able to take this thing and really making the torque linear up to the horsepower, and then the horsepower blends in, so it's just very nice. It's very streamlined. Now the Streetfighter is I mean, that thing's just an animal. So when you get on the Streetfighter, you know, you have almost 4,000 more RPMs up on the top end. But again, how much of that do we actually use out here, right? Now, we've had a lot of people asking the differences and some comparisons between this and the RSV4 and the Super Duke and the S1000R. Let me tell you guys, if you're new to the channel, stay tuned, because I've got more of these videos coming where I'm going to be taking some bikes and doing some back-to-backs with the Streetfighter. So if you guys are considering two different bikes, stay tuned, because hopefully this will be the first one, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, so let's see, what else do we want to, you know, the comparison as far as style wise. You know, I said Monster's been out since '93. I remember this bike when it first came out, it was a design of its time. You know, it was really taking that naked form to an extreme in the Italian style, and Ducati has not changed this Monster much. Of course, they've changed it a lot, but realistically, when you look at this comparatively to a '93, it's the styling is pretty it's pretty on point. So I commend Ducati for what they've done to this bike. It's just such a nice refinement over the years, and it's nice that they've, you know, added multiple bikes to the collection as far as cc wise. So they've got 700s and you know, 800s and the 1200. So it's been very nice to be able to you know, get dialed in with a particular Monster that you're comfortable with. But comparing it to a Streetfighter, it is, you know, when you look at this and you think, and people go, you know, it's not a good comparison, I'll agree that it's not a good comparison, because like I said, you know, I'm going to start calling mine a naked hyper, because it really is. And it really is that, you know, it's that stripped down sport bike naked, where this is not a stripped down sport bike naked. This is just a naked. This has always been a naked, and it always will be a naked. But the Panigale V4S Streetfighter, the Aprilia RSV4 factory Streetfighter style, you know, the Duke, the Duke's a breed of its own, because it does somewhat derive from the RC8, but it's really not just a stripped down RC8. But if you look at it, it's pretty close to being an RC8. So but those are hyper nakeds. So it isn't a good comparison between the two, because I think category wise they fall into different categories. But when you're out here on the twisties, they are a very close animal to each other, because of the big bars and because of how this you know, how they ride and your body position and just everything to it. So the Monster's been a blast. I want to give a huge shout out to Ducati North America for letting us use this thing, because we've had an absolute blast on it and we love it. We're going to stop right up here at the vineyard and do a little turnaround, but we've absolutely had a blast on this thing. And so let's get turned around and let's head back. Let's pick up the Streetfighter and head back here on the same stretch of road on the Streetfighter and do a little comparison. So let's go pick that thing up. All right, you guys, so here we are on the V4S Street Fighter. And let's first of all, if you guys are new to the channel and you guys haven't been following this build, you guys have to hit that subscribe button, because we have so much in store. So let's get off on the Street Fighter, and let's first again, let's try to talk about the same things at the same positions, and I hope you guys can keep your attention to what I'm saying instead of the sound of this absolutely gorgeous bike. But the ergonomics. So some of the things that I'd like to point out now that I've been on the Monster a little bit. You know, the tank width of the Monster is quite a bit bigger than this Street Fighter. So moving around on this thing on the twisties is a little bit more difficult on the Monster than it is here. But I will say that just riding in general, it feels good on the Monster because it kind of gives you a good cradle in between your legs. So pros and cons, right? As far as the seating position on the Street Fighter, we're in a little bit more aggressive. We're a little bit more forward. Our elbows are a little bit more bent. The bars are a little bit lower, and the foot pegs are a little bit back on the Street Fighter comparatively to the Monster. Now, of course, we talked about the horsepower difference. This thing is just, you know, this thing really is a monster. I dynoed this at 184 plus wheel horsepower. 182 and a half wheel horsepower. So the thing is crazy, and that was bone stock before the exhaust and before the huge air filter that I put into this. This is the F1 air filter that's in here. So when you want to wake this thing up, boy, it's got it. But like I talked about, the difference between the V-twin and the V4, the V2, Ducati's done a real good job with taking the RPMs and being able to keep you in a, when you come up from a low RPM, so if we're in fourth gear and we're in, 5,500 RPMs, to be able to roll on the throttle at these lower RPMs and to bring that torque through up into that horsepower, and then just have such a sweet transition into that horsepower. Ducati's done a very good job with both of them. Now, one of the things that I don't like about the Monster, that I prefer more about the Street Fighter, is of course the vibration. There's virtually no vibration in this bike. There's a little bit here and there, like on the lower RPMs, like right now, there's a little bit in the foot pegs, but once you get up above the 5,000-6,000 RPMs, the vibration goes away, and where you're generally riding at that higher, that above 6,000 RPMs, the vibration goes away, and it's very nice. Where the twin kind of vibrates, between your legs a little bit, and you get it in your hands. Your definitely mirrors are vibrating and everything. So you can see this bike doesn't like low revs, clearly. So the Street Fighter, there's been some talk and some gerbil online about them releasing a V2 Street Fighter. I'm assuming a V2 959 Street Fighter. I think that would be a better comparison. That would be a better comparison than this, because that's going to be more of the realm of the horsepower, style and whatnot. But again, the Hyper Nakeds, to go from a bike that's a sport bike that's basically been stripped down to a naked, your ergonomics are so much different than if you're just on a naked. So the nakeds are really great around town, but they're versatile, right? The Monsters are good around town, comfortable for a long trip. It's got a very nice saddle style seat, opposed to this where it's got, a race bike seat basically on this bike. So they're different. So to be able to do this comparison for you guys side by side, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys understand that it's hard to really compare these two bikes. But one of the reasons why I did want to do this comparison is because you guys asked for it. And in my last video that came out actually today, you'll see this in a few days from now, I asked what, I'm thinking about adding another Hyper Naked to the collection. And I've read some of your guys' comments today, and I know you guys are really, there's a lot of chatter about an Aprilia RSV4 factory, and there's some chatter about the Super Duke R. I'll drop a little hint in the end of this video on what I found out about the two. But when we're talking price-wise, you're looking at almost 19,000 for the Monster 1200S, and you're looking at about 14,000 for the Streetfighter S. So you're looking at about $6,000 difference to get into the different style Hyper Naked bike. So that's something to take into account. But as far as as far as weight and maneuverability and everything, they are spot on as far as weight and maneuverability and how I feel I can ride. Obviously, up here on the mountains, it is quite different. But I will say, I will say that they're similar. They're very similar. They're different but similar. So let's get back and stay tuned, because if you guys are here, I'm gonna shoot some bonus footage on the way home. So stay tuned for that video. But let's get over to the Monster and pick that thing up and head on home. All right, guys, so that wraps up the rides for the two bikes. And here's my final opinion. Look, if you guys are looking for a mild naked that's got a little wild to it, this Monster is absolutely the choice. If you guys don't want something that's absolutely bonkers, which this is just absolutely wild, right? This is a much more refined, tamed naked bike, okay? So if you guys are looking for bonkers, here we go. If you guys are looking for tame, here we go. And one last look at these things, because they're absolutely gorgeous together. And I've really enjoyed riding both of them. I got to give a huge shout out again real quick to Ducati North America for basically letting us have this for a couple days. And Eurocycles Reno, thank you for, of course, getting me that. But there you go. Stay tuned. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. Like buttons are more important than you know. But leave us a comment down below if you guys got some questions. But we've got some more head-to-head action coming with the Streetfighter, so stay tuned. If you guys love these, comment down below. If you guys have questions about the Monsters, again, comment down below. If you guys aren't following the V4 Streetfighter build, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But until next video, we'll see you guys then. Thanks again for coming along for the ride, and we'll see you next video.